A problem is a situation that is distressing to a person. It has to be solved now or perhaps in the future, depending on how big the problem is. According to sociology, the problem makes it hard for an individual to achieve full potential in the society that he or she belongs to. Problems always have direct effects to the people. Also, they may affect us indirectly. According to the book Social Problems, a Critical Approach, traditional social pathologists believe that social problems primarily involved weakness of the individual mind or will, the lack of development and self-control among certain groups of society. Ayon sa aklat na pinamagatang Padayon Ikasampung Baitang na isinulat ni Ginoong Mactal, ang issue ay isang kontrobersyal na paksa, pangyayari, ideya o usapin na bahagi ng pampublikong diskurso sa kahit anong larangan na may kabuluhan at nangyayari sa kasalukuyang panahon sa antas na pambansa o pandaigdig. An issue is always dealt with and warrants a public debate from various sectors of the society. Aside from the social pathology approach, sociologists advocate an approach called social disorganization approach in tackling social problems and issues. Proponents of this theory explore the roles of societal conditions in certain societies and how they affect an individual's deviant action and behavior. The terms problem and issue are heavily intertwined. A stressful or harmful problem is a situation that needs to be addressed and be solved. If not, it can lead to a series of problems. Like a problem, an issue is challenging. According to the book Contemporary Issues by Ms. Sarenas, an issue greatly affects a huge part of the population or the humanity, while the problem may only affect an individual or a certain population. With this, an issue is interdisciplinary. An issue does not necessarily become a problem or is always negative. A political issue has something to do with the shared views and judgment regarding a political institution or entity. These entities are the government, their officials, and branches and departments, and the laws and policies that they create within local, national, and international jurisdiction. Examples are the extrajudicial killing, West Philippine Sea territorial dispute, and the suspension of visiting forces agreement. Issues related to the economy pertain to the production, distribution, and the use of income, wealth, and commodities. The business sector, being the producers and distributors, are the primary players in this sector. Some economic issues that the Philippines is facing currently are graft and corruption in Bureau of Internal Revenue and Bureau of Customs, and globalization. Being a colony for more than 300 years, the Filipinos have a rich culture that can also be a root of problems and issues. Culture is the set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterizes an organization. Issues like our brothers and sisters belonging to indigenous tribes being neglected have been going on for decades. Many locals living in the mountains and along the river of Tanay Rizal are opposing the creation of Kaliwa Low Dam in the Kaliwa River. The rights of Dumagats and Remontados to their ancestral lands in Sierra Madre will be violated. Issues related to humans and how they interact with others within their society or outside their society are considered social issues. Examples are racism and other forms of discriminations, which are also connected to a bigger issue of migration. Gender inequality and its dimensions like prostitution, women empowerment, student rights, LGBTQ community are also part of this issue. Now, let's take a look at globalization and how is this issue affects the many aspects of our daily life and the society that we live in. An economic issue like globalization is multifaceted and has caused polarizing effects to the various sectors of the Philippines. In the business sector alone, large-scale manufacturers are in favor of it because they can import cheap raw materials that are not available in the country. The micro industries seem unaffected. The shipbuilding industry of the Philippines, a major sector of the economy, is GVC, which stands for Global Value Chains. Ang GVC ay isang uri ng produksyon kung saan ay ang mga bahagi ng produkto ay mula sa iba't ibang panig ng daigdig. At ang pagsasaayos at pagbuo ng mga ito ay maaaring sa isa o higit pang bansa mangyari. At the end of the day, it is the Filipino consumers that decide which product to buy. From being an economic problem, globalization has become a multifaceted issue. Since globalization refers to the global village, countries and their government get entangled in this issue. One example is the Brexit, ang pag-alis ng United Kingdom sa European Union. Nagsimula ang proseso sa isang referendum noong taong 2016 sa pamumuno ni Prime Minister Theresa May. At ngayong taong 2020, opisyal na hindi na bahagi ng European Union ang United Kingdom. Sa 2 taong proseso na tinatawag ng mga scholar na Brexit, lumobo ang bilang ng mga nawalan ng trabaho dahil sa pagsasara ng mga kumpanya. Dahil dito, pinalitan si Prime Minister Theresa May ni Boris Johnson. May mga naganap ding political riots at asasinasyon ng mga politiko. Mismong ang 4 na bansang bumubuo sa United Kingdom ay hati sa kanilang pananaw. Nagpahayag ang Scotland sa pagnanais nitong manatili sa European Union. There are various conflicting opinions on whether globalization and transnational terrorism are directly connected to one another. According to Helena Norberg Hodge in her essay entitled Globalization and Terror, furthermore, she claims that to really understand the rise of religious fundamentalism and ethnic conflict, we need to look at the deep impacts of the global consumer culture on living cultures throughout the planet. Doing so allows us not only to better understand ISIS and similar groups, but also to see a way forward that lessens violence on all sides. Sadly, the world is facing a catastrophe of a global scale, a health problem from one country that has turned into a global pandemic because of globalization. The idea of global citizens living in a global village is now shattered. Countries, regardless of their economic status, have shut down their borders and severed ties with other nations. Racism and other forms of discrimination have become widespread, with the G7 nations entering into a recession. This economic problem will reach other regions as well. Political, economic, and socio-cultural effects will be felt all over the world, all because of a flu. Now that you know how an issue can be interdisciplinary and has impacts on many sectors of the society, let us discuss further how to explore contemporary problems and issues. To examine an issue, here are some sets of questions that may guide and help you. Significance and scope tackles an issue by finding its relevance and impact to the citizens and various sectors of the society. The evidence model examines the sources used to present the issue. Sources like photographs, videos, journals, and legal documents are considered authentic, hence are called primary sources. Secondary sources are bibliographies, reference books, newspaper editorials, and opinions. When it comes to inductive, you explore an issue by starting from small ideas to much complex points of views and in a bigger perspective. The 5 Ws is the most straightforward of all the models. It presents the basic information related to the issue in a brief and concise manner. The perspective model takes into consideration the numerous points of views of different sectors of the society, such as the government, business sector, and even the church. Reflection model allows you to express your own point of view, qualms, and reservations regarding the issue. These two models are similar in the sense of how the issue has changed over time and what could it possibly be, and the consequences in the future are taken into consideration. For example, in the past, present, future, new concerns may appear in the future. In the connections model, concerns and consequences arising from the actions of the various sectors are expected. If we look back at how the Philippines got into globalization, post-American period, the succeeding presidents of the Philippines adhered to and adopted the economic policies of the United States of America in exchange of aid and assistance. Under the administration of Rojas, Quirino, Magsaysay, and Garcia, the USA remained to be the biggest trading partner and foreign direct investors of the Philippines. The pesos was also pegged to the US dollar under Macapagal term. Under Ramos, Macapagal Arroyo, and Aquino, trade liberalization further opened the country to foreign companies and investors. These last two models in discovering an issue are also related to one another because planning a solution and executing it are explored. Different issues warrant different solutions. Since an issue is multifaceted and interdisciplinary, solutions may differ from one sector to another. For example, the government approved the bill authored by Senator Cynthia Villar that removed the tariff on rice importation. This was the response to the surge in the price of rice in 2018. This move of the government was met by various sectors of the country. The local farmers did not like the deregulation. The rice importers say otherwise. If we use the past, present, future, and connection models, this rice deregulation of 2019 is connected to the mandate of World Trade Organization in 1995. These are just some ways that you can use in exploring and analyzing a contemporary issue. Always remember that an issue is interdisciplinary and may have direct or indirect effects to each and every individual who comes from different socio-economic status. Since an issue affects a greater population, or even the entire humanity, it needs to be debated and examined for the betterment of the society.